As members, you understand that the legal profession is stressful. Left unchecked, stress can lead to mental health and substance abuse issues. The stigma attached can be an obstacle to seeking assistance, and in recent years, bar associations have ramped up efforts to change that. Recently, the Wisconsin Lawyer Wellbeing Task Force was formed to address the issue. And today, I'm here with the Crosse County Circuit Court Judge, Todd Bjerke, who's the chair of that task force.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
So I just wanted to ask, why was it important that the Lawyer Wellbeing Task Force was formed?
Well, it states it right in the title, lawyer well-being. The law profession is a stressful one. It ranks up there with other stressful professions, and a lot of times these people are highly educated and have an appearance they want to make to their clients and the public and the people that they work with. And because of that, when there are stigmas attached to their lives, such as alcoholism, mental health, or other issues that could undermine the ability to perform properly, do their best for their clients and for their firms, things like that, they tend to either ignore it or hide it or try to suppress it. But in all those cases, they don't deal with it. They may not even know they have it. So the task force was developed following a national lawyer wellbeing task force report that we've looked at to try to work on reducing that stigma, trying to make people be aware as early as possible in their life of the stresses that they're looking at and help find ways to reduce that stress, to reduce the problems that come from a buildup of stress, and hopefully make them be able to enjoy their jobs better, be there for their families, and just have wholesome, healthy lives as they go forward. So that's really why it was initiated.
Right. And I know you're chair of the task force. And so, I mean, what has been your prior involvement on lawyer well-being issues?
Well, I was the chair. I'm currently the chair for the Wisconsin Lawyer Assistance Program. I think I'm going into my third year as the chair of that. And I've been involved on that committee for quite a number of years. And I have been involved with WISLAP for probably 14, 15 or more years now. For the last 10 years, I've ran a veterans court as a judge here. So that's like a mental health court to deal with the issues veterans bring back from combat and other areas that involve them. I've always been a public servant since I got my law degree way back when, going into the military, defending Marines, and working as a prosecutor all those years. And I've always dealt with people suffering from alcohol-related issues and mental health issues. Just about everyone that comes in the courtroom has those issues. And here we're trying to deal with lawyers specifically, or law students or their families. My undergraduate degree was in psychology, so I've always had an interest in mental well-being. And throughout my career, I've tried to help people to overcome the issues that they've faced, whether I was prosecuting them or now as a judge. So I know that's very important for people to address so they can move forward in life and not repeat the behaviors that bring them into the court system.
Yeah. So tell us about the composition of the task force itself. I know there's more than 40 members. That's a large cross-section of members from different sectors and disciplines in the legal profession. Can you tell us a little bit about how members were chosen, why there's such a large cross-section, why that's important?
Well, we need representation from all the various areas where lawyers would be involved in. So we tried to pull from those main areas using the National Task Force recommendations sort of as a start, but we'll pull more people in as we go forward. We have basically some judges on there to include myself and several from the Supreme Court of Wisconsin. We have various people that are deemed regulators from the Board of Bar Examiners or a delegate to the American Bar Association, Office of Lawyer Regulation, because they're involved in dealing with lawyers that may have issues that could affect them. We have representatives from the law schools on our panel. We have some representatives that are in a subcommittee called Making the Business Case, because of lawyers that are self-employed or working in large firms have all their own stressors, to try to look at ways to deal with making recommendations to reduce those. We have the Bar Association and the Lawyer Assistance Program, representatives from there. We try to have a diversity and inclusion. One member is Lindsay Draper, who's also works basically in the National Task Force, so he's a good member to have. And we have people from employer relations and the diversity initiatives and other similar groups. So these are basically some of the different areas that we have representation from, and each of them will bring some unique aspect of what's involved them in their lives or things that they've dealt with, so we can try to look at the global picture here in Wisconsin and come up with good, appropriate recommendations to address the issues that we find here in our state.
Great. And so I know that the task force is just really digging in right now. What kinds of specific areas will the subcommittees, I think, be looking at?
Well, the subcommittees are all based on those general areas that I went through, but each one is, again, going to look at how, from their perspectives, they can deal with these issues that they affect lawyers. So the stress of working too many hours at a large law firm, or the stress of not getting enough clients in a solo practice, or being overwhelmed as a prosecutor or a public defender, what have you. Each of those areas we'll look at and try to look at recommendations to help people up front reduce these stressors in their lives through just improving their well-being, and to those that have gotten over the level of the stresses that start to affect their practice, how to deal with those individuals, whether it's through monitoring as mandated by the Office of Lawyer Regulation, or through mentorship through the Lawyer Assistance Program, or through other means. We can deal with those things. And when the lawyers get to the highest level where they really are getting in trouble, to help them and their families the best we can to at least get them back online. A lot of times these stressors can increase substance abuse, increase the effects of mental health on their lives. It affects their families, it affects their clients. We have Dean Dietrich, who's working to help with the lawyers toward the end of their careers, help shut down practices when that needs to happen. Some lawyers hang on beyond the point where they should shut down and are perhaps either not cognizant of the diminished abilities they have, or they may be just in a state where they feel they need to have to keep moving forward to keep some sort of income coming in. So we're working with all those people at both ends, law students up front to try to instill in them even ways of getting through law school without too much stress, and to be aware of the problems that can come in that profession that they can work on early. So it's supposedly a holistic approach to try to meet them at all those different areas, and hopefully make the law profession one that is able to cope with all those things, so they can then better cope with all the problems that they need to deal with for their clients.
Yeah. And then I guess finally, what's the sort of end goal for the task force's work?
Well, I think I sort of touched on that. It's just to make sure lawyers' well-being is improved in all the areas that we can touch on or recommend. Try to reduce the stigma of the issues, such as applying even for a bar license when they had asked if you've had any mental health issues in your past. There's a great stigma. There's records then made, and they're looking at ways to reduce things like that. so you can be licensed and have other ways to intervene and get people out there to address their problems. Make sure that what you see in that lawyer, just existing as a lawyer, is a healthy, mentally well-balanced person, and they're not hiding it because they are taking care of it, because the stigma won't affect that as they go forward. So that's really the end goal, I think, in this task force. As you indicated, we sort of got off on a rocky start. We were supposed to start in March, but the coronavirus hit, which itself causes a lot of stress and makes appearances like we're doing right now sort of the norm, at least for the court process and contacting clients. And the task force kept getting pushed off until I believe our first meeting finally was in September. We're looking at another general meeting, maybe late January, early February, where we hope the Supreme Court will be back on board and all the members can meet. And in between, then we're hoping that the subcommittees can work on their individual recommendations, and we can pull those together then at the next general meeting and start to work on what we would like Wisconsin's lawyer well-being task force to recommend to help with the people that could use that assistance.
Judge Bjerke is the chair of the Lawyer Wellbeing Task Force in Wisconsin. Thanks so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me, Joe. It's very important that the message on well-being for anyone, lawyers, clients, or whoever, gets out there so people can get the help they need to avoid the problems that come when they don't get them.